Hey guys, this is Jeff Sokol, creator of Earthcraft Designs, and I wanted to show you how I come up with a framework design and what's involved in a framework design. It's actually quite extensive, but I'm going to try to put it into a few minute video here just so you can get a full understanding, or as much as I can, understanding of what it is that we do and what to expect when ordering a framework design. So, first thing we're going to do, I'm going to come out to your property and I'm going to meet you, and we're going to shake hands, and we're going to walk around your property and do something called a land trek. Now, the land trek is going to be so I can see where the highs, the lows, the watersheds, how the wind moves on the property, the sun angles of the property, and see how we can best optimize your property to fit your goals. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a big property, which is multiple large acres, or if you just have a small property. If you have a quarter acre in town, it doesn't matter. There's something we can do for your property, and we'll be able to show you very specifically through a framework design what is the potential with your property to best optimize it to where you can have full, absolute abundance on your property and have food security for you and your family, or have a demonstration property so you can show other people, whatever your goals are. Some people want to give back to the earth, and that's great. Some people want to provide food security for their family. To me, that's a really noble thing to do. Some people want to leave a legacy for their family to enjoy and kind of landscape their whole property and see what they can provide. Now, here's the thing: where we are on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, it's still fresh in everybody's mind over here, Hurricane Katrina. And I know it happened 11 years ago, but the bottom line is that 11 years ago, a lot of people down here were caught without food, caught without water, caught without power, and everything was gross. And they had to go wait in lines to get food from Red Cross and FEMA and all that stuff, and bottled water and gasoline and everything else. So what we're going to show you here is how you can take a property that you already have and completely turn it around into something that will provide for all of your food needs with very little work. As much work as you want to put into it, but everything else is going to be year-round, sustainable, perennial, and that's kind of what the idea is that in permaculture, we don't want to spend our whole time out there working like a farmer all the time. There's nothing wrong with farmers, but the idea is different. You understand? So what we're going to do, we're going to have a few vegetable gardens, and then we're going to have other systems that we can go and just harvest, and we can just go take from them as we need them. Whether it's chickens, we can get eggs, or whether it's fish, or whether it's just our vegetable crops, or whether it's fruit, or nuts. These are things that we can just go pick at either at certain times of the year or as we need them. So let's get into it a little bit, and I'll show you on this property right here. It's a 3-acre property here in Kill, Mississippi. Now, you can see right here, this is the property that we're looking at, and here's the property line, okay? And you can see where the watershed is. This is a very large watershed coming from half the neighborhood, and it comes down past this guy's driveway, past the neighbor's driveway, comes through the woods right here, down this way, and over here. And it causes a river every time it rains heavy. Every time the ground gets saturated and it rains quite a bit, it causes literally about a 20-foot wide, 1-foot deep river to cross the property right here, and it's eating the driveway to pieces. So what do we do about that? Do we just build a bridge right here? Yes, we're going to do that too. But what we're going to ultimately do is use this water and put it in a situation where we're harvesting the water, and we always have it, and that water provides for the entire property. instead of just having it run off and pass us up every time. This is a very valuable resource that we're gonna keep on hand, and we're gonna keep it with us, and we're gonna be able to hold, I'd say probably about 1,000,000 gallons of water by the time we're finished. So a couple more things about the property. This is kind of a high point over here, and the property it slopes down this way. Okay, so you can see right here. Here's a low point, and all the when it rains, a lot of rainwater just runs across the property this way, and so we're going to turn this into a pond here too. This is all a low point right here, and it gets lower down on this side. So let's jump right in, and I'll show you the design that I created that I think is going to be optimal for this particular property. After doing the land trek and seeing how the water moves across the property and seeing where the flows are, this is what it's going to look like after we're finished. Okay, now you can see right here, it looks like a lot of stuff, right? And it's really it's complex, but at the same time it's completely functional. Everything over here on this thing provides a service and has a purpose, and or multiple purposes, and is positioned. Everything's positioned in such a fashion that it's easy. It's not extra work. Everything is positioned here where it's something you'd be doing anyway, and it's something that is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and also at the same time it's providing function and permanence and abundance on the property. So this is a loose design. This is a framework design. This is not a full permaculture design. A full permaculture design is going to not only, like these yellow dots right here, are fruit trees. We don't just plant a fruit tree here. We have multiple guilds that we plant with each fruit tree to make a food forest. And there's going to be other things like currants and berries and blackberries and stuff like that they grow with these deals, and give you a lot more abundance than you can just see right here in a basic framework design. Every one of these trees in a full permaculture design is going to have things along with it that is going to have a complete design within each tree. Okay, and so that's what a full design is going to give you. This is a basic framework design, and I can't tell you how valuable that is. How valuable it is to have a full design with each individual tree. And also what we're going to do is tell you which trees to put where. Okay, and we can even do the implementation for you, but we'll get to that later on. So what we see right here, we see where our water flow is. So what we're going to do is, actually, we're just going to zoom into this a little bit here for you. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a brown swale right here, a little levee. All right, so we can take this levee and we're going to build a levee right here. All right, first things first, we got to clear this area and dig a pond. We got to clear this area and dig a pond. This area is pretty much clear, as you can see right here. This area is pretty much clear, so we don't really have to do anything to it but dig a pond. We can use that soil to build up areas that we need to build up. We're going to build levees, okay, and we're going to build levees across the back of here. And all these brown areas are the swales or the levees. All right, they keep the water where we want the water to be, because the water serves us. We're masters of the property. All right, these gray lines, as you can probably tell, are walking paths. This is a duck pen right here. This is a chicken house right here, and this is a chicken pen. We put fruit trees inside the chicken pen. So if the fruit drops, we have figs, we have peaches and stuff like that. If the fruit drops, then the chickens go over there and they get a free meal, and they turn that fallen fruit into eggs for us. Or we can go pick it, whatever we want to do. This right here is a composting area. These are raised bed gardens. These dark green areas on the ground here are ground gardens, which can be for either vegetables or medicinal herbs and flowers. As you can see, what we'll do here on a framework design is we'll give you a legend right here. So we have our ponds. We have fish harvesting systems built within the ponds. I'll explain that in a bit. And what I like about this is that you can do whatever you want. These right here are individual bushes. All right. Well, they can be azaleas if they can be whatever kind of mosquito repellent bushes that you like. I personally like lemongrass. I like catnip. It makes a really nice bush, or catmint, whatever you want to call it. Makes a nice bush, and you can actually take the catnip and put it in a blender with isopropyl alcohol and strain up and blend it up, strain it off, and it makes a fantastic insect repellent that's 10 times more powerful than off, and it's completely natural and it smells good to us. It doesn't smell bad. So what we're looking at here is a design where we can walk out of the house, go past our little veggie gardens here, our little raised bed gardens, talk to the chickens, feed the chickens if necessary, go or take the chicken manure out and go put it in the compost. Go past the duck pen, and duck pen's close to the compost, so we can remove the waste from the duck pen, put it in the compost over here. These can be echinacea flowers. They can be all kind of different wildflowers, whatever you want. More landscape bushes. We have our guilds right here with fruit trees, our fruit tree guilds right here. And when I say guild, what I'm talking about is a collection of plants that benefit one another and make the tree healthier and produce more food and make the ground more fertile. They have plants that we can use to attract beneficial insects like pollinators and predator insects, and plants that we can put to deter insects that might be harmful to the plants. So we can plant all those in guilds around all of the fruit trees, and we can have things like comfrey in the ground that have deep tap roots that make compost corridors whenever they die off, and we can kind of do what we call chop and drop and slash it down to the ground. It becomes just a natural mulch for the ground that just stays there all the time, and eventually this canopy gets big enough and it shades all that stuff out, which is what you want, and it'll shade out all that ground cover, and then we'll just have a nice solid forest ground underneath here, and we call this a food forest. Okay, so I have a little food forest here, little food forest here. We have food forests around here, up here, and these brown dots are going to be our nut trees. So we can have pecans, we can have walnuts, almonds, whatever kind of nuts we might want to grow. Of course, in all of these things, we'll have fish. In all these ponds, we're going to have fish in these ponds, okay? And so right here is our little bridge. We have a little bridge here, and so the water's going to come in. You can siphon some off to go to your duck pond, and that water's going to come in here. Then it's going to flow underneath the bridge into this pond here, and then we're going to build up our levees to make it flow into this pond. Now, granted, this is a design that I liked. However, we can divert this water here and make it go across here into here, and also make it flow down into this pond here, and just however we want to do it. It depends on how we put the levees and everything else. Now, this is a high spot, so everything's going to flow, can flow into this pond. And these ponds right here, this one and this one, are approximately the same height. So we can, just depends on how we want to set up our levee system and how we want to do it. It's completely up to us, because we are masters of the domain, and we're just working with what nature, with what God put in a place where we can have something that's going to be sustainable and working within the laws of nature. Of course, we want our properties to be aesthetically pleasing, and we want to have good functioning, good design in here. So imagine yourself walking out of the house. You got the kids' trampoline right here, and that's fun. They got plenty of yard they can run in and play in or whatever. A little walking path goes down, and here's a little sitting area right here. This little gray spot is a sitting area right here on the little peninsula with your pond. Okay, and you go back into the woods a little bit, another little sitting area right here. This is just for us. This is just so we can, have a place to chill out. We can take another little walking path trek through the woods, come back into the chicken coop, or go back to the pond. And this is just, like I said, guys, this is just for us. This is, just a small little quarter-acre piece here, and we can go and just, be able to walk through our place and enjoy our place, enjoy our habitat, enjoy what we've created. Now, let me explain this to you right here. This is called Chinampas. And Chinampas were used in Mexico and South America. And what happens is that on a pond, or any really body of water, that's fresh water, obviously, you can put these little peninsulas out here. And what's good about these things is that you can farm on these peninsulas, and you always have water. So there's always water in the subsoil that's going to be percolating up and watering your crops. And you can build them up however high you want them. A couple feet above the water table is usually fine. And so you can do everything you need to do right here on these Chinampas and grow great food. Another benefit that they have is that you can put a fish feeder in here. Let's say this little canal right here is about 4 feet wide. You can put a fish feeder right here, and every day you can feed the fish. And you have a gate right here that you can drop. And so let's say at 5 o'clock every afternoon, that fish feeder goes off and it chunks that fish food out there, and the catfish come in here, the bass come in here and start eating all that fish food. You shut your gate right here, and you can harvest the fish. You can harvest the fish with a net, and it doesn't have to be deep right here. It can only be a couple feet deep. You see, so it can be shallow, and you can harvest the fish. Another thing you can do is take cattle panel and cross and put cattle panels bending over across these Chinampas, where you can have a trellis design. So you can have it trellis across here from peninsula to peninsula, and you can get underneath there with a canoe and harvest all of your goods from, if you want to grow cantaloupe, if you want to grow cucumbers or whatever, they can grow across there, and you can get under there with a canoe and harvest them. It's just it's an abundant way to take care of to utilize that space, if that's in fact what you want to do. You don't have to do it, obviously, but it's a neat feature to have on the property. These yellow lines are going to be our water edge plantings, and so that's going to be all the pretty stuff that you see along the edge of a nice pond. It might be taro, it might be elephant ears, it might be whatever it is you want to plant on the edge of your pond. But there's a lot of stuff that you can plant that's not only beautiful aesthetically, but it's also edible. So those are other things that we can discuss, and things that I'll introduce to you. Along here, these look like little shrubs right here, but this could easily be bamboo. And bamboo here would serve a couple of purposes. Number one, you could plant it to where you plant it on your levee, so it would hold in the water and it would keep it from eroding. That's a really big deal. We want to keep that levee in place. We want to keep it from eroding. So that's one benefit to our edge plantings. You see we have a little walking path right here. That bamboo is going to keep all that soil in place, and it's going to keep any grass from growing. The bamboo mat is so thick that it's going to keep that grass from growing in that spot. Now, we don't want to use our running bamboo like you commonly see on the sides of the roads in Mississippi, just going everywhere. We want to use a clumping bamboo that we would actually plant individually, and after, it would take a couple of years, up to 5 years, for that to grow into maturity. But once it's there, you'd have very tall, very nice windbreak, sunbreak, whatever you want on this back side, because we know that the sun is coming at an angle from down here. So this is not gonna we already have trees back here, so this is not gonna hurt our sun on the coming onto the property. We can also plant bamboo along here as well, along this canal, and that would provide good levee structure as well as it's aesthetically pleasing. It also provides for a very nice walking path, and it's very cool inside the bamboo as well. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but when you walk into a bamboo forest, which essentially is what you'd be creating, when you walk into a bamboo forest, you feel the temperature drop by 10 to 15 degrees immediately. So we can plant that around here, have our little walking path. We can make a little bridge right here if we want to, just something, just a neat little thing to have, and then we can just keep moving forward to the property. And we have our fruit trees, some more fruit trees here. This would be more aesthetic, closer to the house, and it would we wouldn't have to plant this in guilds, just because you don't want all that in your yard possibly, and so this could have a little more tidy structure to it. Out here, the structure's a little more loose. It may not be quite as tidy, but we don't need it to be as tidy. Now, if you want it to be super tidy, you can. We can just put wood chips down and everything. We can mulch it. It all depends on your goals and your desires. So, I got a little long-winded there. What we're looking at is a basic design. Oh, this up here at the top. You might be wondering what this is. This is just harvestable timber area on this particular property. This is where we keep wood that could be harvested for some purpose later on, whether it's poles or whether it's whether we need firewood or anything else. We can just have our little half acre up here, quarter acre, whatever this is, and be able to keep that just for trees that we might need. And we also have all this area as well, and if we clear all this land, we will also have a bunch of trees that we'll be able to cut for firewood, stack, use for lumber. So that's a basic design, guys. This is a framework, and this kind of brings out what an owner might not see in his own property. Sometimes it's better to have another perspective, have an objective point of view, come in and look at your property through a new lens and show you what could be possible. And then to implement something like this, depending on how much money you want to spend, it can take anywhere from 6 months. It can take 3 months if you want to really get after it, or a couple months, depending on how much help you have. And the fastest part is going to be clearing the land and digging the ponds. That's going to be the quickest part. You can probably do that inside of a week or two, and then doing the rest of it. It's just depends on how fast you want to implement. Do you want to propagate your own stuff? Do you want to buy it? Do you want to get your wood chips in there? Do you want to do a lot of this other stuff yourself? Do you want us to do it for you? It's all up to you. You're in control 100%. But what you have here, what you've created, is a system of absolute abundance on your property. And here's the thing. Here's what most people don't realize. When you do this on your property, you are going to raise the property value extensively. I've seen people quintuple their property value just by implementing a design like this. It's drought proof. It's hunger proof because you've got fish, you've got vegetables, you've got fruit, you've got nuts. You can save all this stuff in your own freezer. You can farm vegetables here on these 3 Chinampas. You can farm vegetables here. You can plant other vegetables along the banks here that you might not even be thinking of. Maybe sweet potatoes. They grow really well there. You might be thinking of even taro. You can eat taro. It's really good. There's a lot of different things that you can do here. There's a lot of different things you can do. So You can even put solar. Look at this big old roof right here. You can put solar panels on the roof, and if another Hurricane Katrina comes, you know, you're not going to be out of electricity. Your freezers are going to stay operating because you can have solar power. And I'm not trying to get all, depending on your point of view, I'm not trying to, persuade you to be all green if you don't want to be. I'm not trying to tell you not to be. What I'm trying to show you here is that this is a system of personal responsibility and sustainability, that you don't have to rely on anybody else should something break down. If the grid falls down, you are completely sustainable all by yourself, and you don't need anybody else's permission to turn your water back on, to do anything. If you have your own well on property and you have your own solar power, you don't need anybody else. You can do everything you need to do right here on your own property. You can provide for your own food, your own water, and even if all that breaks down and you have, keep some water filters on hand, you can utilize the water that's in these ponds. It's heck, when we were kids, we used to swim in ponds over in Wiggins, Mississippi. We used to swim in ponds all over the place. In cow ponds. So is it clean? No, it's not clean. But at the same time, it can be cleaned, and we never, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, I guess. And so this water is perfectly fine for us to be able to clean up for drinking water, bathing water, whatever it is. We can clean it. We can be completely sustainable on our own properties and not have to venture elsewhere or have to rely on anybody else to give us that sustainability. So, again, I got long-winded. I appreciate you very much. If this interests you, contact us on the Contact Us page, and I'll be glad to get back to you as soon as I can. You can try to call me. If I don't answer, it's because I'm either with another client or I'm busy doing something else, but I will get back to you. Again, guys, thank you very much. I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope this was informative, and I hope that you choose us to help you realize your goals and your dreams on your property. God bless. Take care.